We're at work, we're doing our thing. I'm sitting there messing with something, and the phone rings, and somebody tells me that the call is for me. So I take the call. It's one of, I don't consider her just a coworker. She's a friend. It's one of my true friends. And she was like, "Get out of your department right now. I've already called security. He's in the building." Because security was looking for him at the front and didn't realize that he was slipping in behind people through other doors, which is when they really cracked down on us about, listen, when you open a door with your badge, make sure that door closes behind you, because people who don't have badges, and and I've even had people who they've gone in, they've unlocked and opened the door, and they'll see my badge, so you go in with them, that kind of thing. But they were like, there were people who had no badges, who were not employees, who were walking through certain doors, and that's how he was getting in through other doors of the hospital. Popped up in the department, and security immediately came and got him. I was cool. One of the security guards who worked during the day shift, he was like, "Don't even worry about it," because they had security watching for him, and valet was watching for him when I would leave and go home, or when I would come in the mornings. I would come in with my friend, and we would walk and like watch for each other, because it had gotten to that point where he was really like there's a police report in the whole nine. And then come to find out, somebody I used to work with actually realized who he was after a while and where he was at. So they were able to find him at home to arrest him for this, because it had gotten that bad. So I don't play around with people sending me crazy messages or crazy pictures. Not to mention the fact that, and I don't know, for any of you who have done this, who can hear my voice, understand something. If you are the type of individual who sends vulgar comments or nude photos of yourself to people that you don't know, it's actually a sign of weakness. Because someone who is secure in themselves, someone who is secure in their looks, someone who is secure in their abilities and their intelligence, the last thing they're going to do is send a nude picture to a complete stranger, because they have absolutely nothing to prove. They are good. Whenever somebody does that, that is because 9 times out of 10, there is nothing else about you that you deem worthy. And therefore, you're sending the very thing that you think is going to get someone's attention. And honestly, if I were a lesser person, that may work. But understand, if that's working on somebody, it's not working on someone who has high self-esteem themselves. That is only working on somebody who doesn't think that highly of themselves in the first place. Because for someone who is self-aware, for someone who loves themselves, something like that, like, boy, please. I'm 47 years old. I have 2 children. Nudity does nothing for me. At all. There has to be something about you mentally. There has to be something about your conversation. If your conversation is not on point, I really could care less about anything else about you. If your conversation is not together, which is why I am with the man that I am with, because his conversation is absolutely amazing. He got me roped in from his conversation. Now, trust me, the rest of him is an absolute bonus, because he is beautiful to look at. Let's not be confused. But it is his conversation that got me in the first place. I've dated what some people would call mediocre looking individuals. I dated one guy that looked so good. A friend of mine who doesn't even really date light skinned black men like to sell over herself. He looked that good. Like he was unusually handsome. Um and then I've dated guys that some people were like, he's not that cute. And that is because it wasn't about their looks. It was about their conversation. And when that conversation got to a point where, okay, your conversation is great, but your actions are horrible, I don't care how good you look, you gotta go. You know, your conversation is great, but this thing you do over the way you treat people is horrible, you gotta go. So, whereas some people are like, oh, it's the looks that get you first. It's not the looks that get me first. Matter of fact, a couple of these people I met sight unseen. There is one individual that I had conversations with daily for like 6 months and never even knew what the person looked like. We did not meet and see each other in person for 6 months. We ended up meeting, they sent me a message, I want to say through Facebook. Like in the very beginning of having it. I had a Facebook before this Facebook. The very beginning of my page. They sent me a message and I just responded to it and kept going. And after a while, the conversation just kept going back and forth. And then the request was made to talk over the phone. Sure, fine. I don't care. It's a phone conversation. And those conversations went on, like I said, for 6 months before we were ever in each other's presence. Now, he was actually a very handsome individual, but that's not what drew me. What got me was his conversation. And I say that to say this. You think sending these random photos is going to cause somebody to all of a sudden go, oh my goodness, what's your name? Or can we meet up? That's not cute. Especially since I don't have anybody in my friends list that I know of that's, 16, 17, 18 years old. I'm not being followed by any children. Which means you are a full blown adult thinking that is okay. Which makes me give you the side eye real quick because it's something that I would expect out of a teenager. That's not something that I would expect out of an adult. You have to be careful with doing things like that. Number one, because, you will have some people who will take you up on it, and people think that only men can be dangerous. There are some brothers who have lost their lives messing around with chicks online and had no clue that the woman they were messing with, she's a little over the top. Not to mention the fact that, like I said, all it does is it makes you look like you're not mature enough to handle. Because even if I was on this platform just to find somebody to sleep with, the fact that you just wanted to throw out nude photos lets me know that you're not mature enough to handle me in that arena anyway. Like, it's an immature move. It really is. And I watched a comedian talk about this where he was like, I did not realize that this is what we were doing now. Is, it's not even a, hey, how you doing? Hey, good morning. It's just photos. And I only get them from my own people. I get inbox messages from all races, but it's only my own people who will just up and throw nude photos all over the place. Like, I don't feed into stereotypes. And I hate the fact that other people do. But it's kind of hard not to when you behave like a stereotype. And I'm not just talking about stereotypes when it comes to race. I'm talking about stereotypes when it comes to gender. Like, you get upset because there are certain stereotypes that, certain boxes that women are put in. Women act like this and women do this. And men act like this and men do this. But Then you turn around and there's at least 65% of males who will do this. So yes, it starts to become a blanket. Well, I don't trust none of y'all because you're either gonna send me a nude photo or you're gonna ask me for money, and either way, the answer is no. You don't want to be thrown into a box of this is what men do. But then you out here doing stereotypically what men do. Like, it's a wrap on that. Stop doing that. That is, there's nothing appealing. There's nothing becoming, like I said, all it does is it causes the rest of the world to know that you're not working with a full tank. You feel me? Your elevator does not go all the way up to the top floor. You are several sandwiches short of a good picnic. Like, when I see things like that, that's the first thing. Like, I actually have pity on people whenever I open up my phone and there are vulgar messages or nude photos. My first thought, honestly, is that's really sad, because that is really how it comes across to me. Like, you are either screaming for attention, or there's something sad about an individual who feels like that is the first thing that somebody wants to see of them. Like, it actually really is just sad, because either your self-esteem isn't that high, or you're not that bright, or, there's just, you're inadequate in some way. And you think that if I show her this, then she won't pay attention to the fact that I'm not smart, or I'm not handsome, or I'm not wealthy, or I'm not talented, or all the things that you tell yourself that you aren't. You figure that this is the one thing that people will pay attention to, so they won't pay attention to all the things that you believe that you are not. And I say you believe that you are not because I don't know you, so I couldn't tell you one way or the other. But you don't believe these things about yourself, so all of your beliefs are in these photos that you send. They'll see these pictures and then they'll want to get to know me. Like I said, if anybody sees a photo of you naked and wants to get to know you, there's absolutely something wrong with that individual. And you may want to be careful, because you're going to mess around and send pictures to the wrong somebody, and you're going to wish you hadn't done it. Because like I said, just like there are some men out here who are over the top crazy, there are some women out here who will do you in. You've got to be careful with that. And don't think that it's anonymous because, everybody's got these fake rotating phone numbers. Do you know how many of those photos actually can be taken in and analyzed, and you can pinpoint who a person is? Your medical records don't just sit in the hospital. That's just my personal belief. I'm positive that a government official would be able to pick me out of a lineup by certain markings that have been on my body since I was born. Technology is an amazing thing these days, especially if you've been sending photos all over the place. I'm sure somebody can take those photos and figure out exactly who you are and where you are. So again, people, be safe. Be careful. Believe in you. And actually, now that I think about it, this portion of the message really does rope into the first portion of the message, because if you had any belief in yourself, you wouldn't do something that stupid. So believe in you. Believe in your abilities. Believe that you are better than what you have going on from the neck down. Put a little bit more faith in what you have going on from the neck up. Alrighty, people. I'm done with my rant for the morning. I've been going off for the last 30 minutes. So I'm going to get off of here and go get myself together to go to work so that I can keep on paying for what I believe in. And I will see you guys. Well, actually, I won't see you at all, but I will talk to you on tomorrow morning's motivation.